I'll wait until it's done.
Hold on, one more. Somebody's just joined.
Who?
Somebody else has just joined, so I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Oh, and another one. Hold on. Thank you. I think that should be everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Emma. So we'll start then. So good evening to everybody on this latest amenities meeting to discuss the mugger in the Chapel Memorial Park. There are only 3 items on the agenda. So the first one will be public speaking. Emma, is there anybody that's indicated they'd like to speak?
No.
No?
Just mention apologies for absence, Jason.
Yeah, the second is apologies for absence. So we have got an apology from Stella.
Yeah.
Who's away on holiday.
And minute silence, Jason.
We'd agreed. We've just done one on the planning, Emma.
Yeah.
But in fact, yeah. Let's do one now, actually. So, if I could just all ask you to take a minute's silence, please, in memory of Prince Philip, who passed away at the end of last week. Thank you very much. Thank you, Emma. Right, so on to the third point tonight, which is the mugger and an update of the work that the ladies in the town hall have been doing. Emma?
Okay, so the last meeting, which was on the 4th of March, there was 2 plans proposed, and then off the back of that, the committee requested that Sue and I gain some prices, make contact with sort of Dove Holes Community Association and speak to planning bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We've done, I would say 90, or we've managed to obtain 99% of everything that we wanted. And we did email out a kind of a report almost of what we'd managed to achieve. So in terms of a mugger, we'd spoken to, or Sue had spoken to a company who said that basically it would cost just as much to have a new mugger as it would be to either move the one that we've already got. Basically, because it would need new poles, it need new corners, that kind of thing. So they said that a mugger is in the region of, and this is slightly smaller than ours because apparently ours is quite a large one. You're looking in the region of about £60,000. And they are saying that it just would be more cost effective to have a new one, really. We haven't managed to get the price solely for the base, for a new base for the mugger yet. I know Phil had been working on that. And the rebound fencing as well. Phil had already obtained a quote for in and around £600 for the fencing that's to go behind the goals. So I'm not too sure if you're okay with kind of the prices for the new mugger, and the fact that it's obviously going to be the same price as moving the one that we've already got. We did meet with Sally from High Peak to have a quick discussion with her about, because she does this day in, day out, and what permissions we would need and things like that. So we would need planning permission and approval if we are to obviously move the mugger. And obviously we would need it with a new skate park as well, because of the height and size of things. So even if we just move the mugger and not install a new one, again, we would still need planning permission for that. She was going to speak to Sport England in terms of the football pitch, because obviously when you're going to move it, where you're going to move it to, is it going to encroach on that? She did also confirm that they obviously hold in and around £97,000 worth of 106 monies that is to be spent within the park.
Yeah.
But this would be to fund new equipment and not to like move the mugger or, you know, resite it. So obviously the skate park would be new. So, and obviously we can get all sorts of match funding to go along with that. So get more equipment for the 97, if you get my meaning.
Yeah.
She also suggested, because we did briefly touch on, you know, speaking to the local children, and that's important because at the end of the day, it's what the community and the children want and the residents.
Absolutely.
So she suggested employing, you know, a company that could do this, and there is a company that High Peak use. They would gain all the information from the neighbours, from the residents, do surveys, do lots of things. They've actually held a few things. One of the companies she suggested, they have held things in our park. Obviously not during COVID, but in the years before that, they did hold quite a lot of events for the children within the park, just getting people active. And she said that that's the best way to engage with the people who actually use the park and see what it is that they want.
Yeah.
So she's given us obviously some information, which I emailed out to you, didn't I? So you've had that. Skate parks, as we know, they are expensive. The issue is, as you probably know, Jason, through reading through all the pack thing that I sent you,
Yep.
because it's such a specialised subject,
Yeah.
we are literally going to have to get a company to come out, do us a full design, and then we're going to have to tender off their design. So we are probably going to have to pay for a design, but it might not even be the one we end up using, because they're all different, they're all bespoke. You can't kind of just approach a company and say how much is a skate park for, because it's all sprayed on apparently. So it's very much a bespoke item. There isn't a lot of companies that do it. So that's that. Obviously, in terms of the holes, we obviously all met them yesterday. So we kind of know what Dove Holes Community Association are thinking of and looking at for down there now, which is a little bit different to what we initially thought. And I'm going to keep in contact with Emma. You know, if she needs any contacts, I'll give them to her. And Sally just kind of reiterated that there will be issues with moving existing equipment because of safety certificates. So it probably is just easier to get a new mugger if that's what you decided to do.
Right.
Sue and I have also approached companies with regards to this adult exercise equipment. But again, I think the need for that and where you would need it to go could come off the back of working with a company, identifying what people who use the park actually, you know, kind of want and need and where it would be sited.
Yeah.
So they could have, that could tie in with that as well. But there is a lot of companies that do these adult exercise equipments now, companies that we've used in the past, but also companies that we've not used. And as I briefly mentioned to you, Jason, that only this week I've had a brochure from a company who's kind of solely going down the inclusive route with everything, gym equipment, play equipment, things like that. I've sent you all the costs out for that, so you can literally say that you buy a piece of equipment, but then obviously you've got the installation charges on it. But if we could work with the 106 monies and get grants and we're match funding, we could possibly get the money for it all as a scheme, I suppose. But that's about it.
Right. Well, thank you, Emma. Thank you for an overview of what's gone on in recent weeks. I'm sure some of the councillors will have some questions. I've got a few myself, actually, but so I'd like to open the floor. So those with their hands up. I did just see Nigel with his hand up briefly before you there, Chris. So we'll go Nigel, please.
I do at first hearing, I like the sound of running a consultation with neighbours and users of the park through a third party, so that it's essentially not our views, but it's an unbiased reporting of what people's views are. My one caveat on that is that I don't know if you asked kids playing around a skate ramp what they want, I'm sure the most likely thing that they're going to come back with is a better skate ramp. They're unlikely to report on the things which they haven't seen in the local parks.
Yeah. Thank you, Nigel. I do hear what you're saying, actually. Emma?
Yeah.
Like Nigel, I love the idea of communicating with all of the potential stakeholders. The questions that are asked, are they is it a form that's already designed, or is it something that you design and then ask them to take on your behalf?
My understanding is they would do some work within the park with park users, then you would report back. And obviously, like you said, there's going to be some absolutely fantastic ideas, isn't there? Probably not practical, but if you ask a child what they want, they dream up all sorts of amazing things, and they're not actually, viable. But once you've got all the ideas, and then if you just look at the majority and what the majority want, you could then draw up some kind of a couple of schemes maybe, and then just put that to the users of the park. So we've narrowed it down in terms of what is actually possible.
Yeah.
What children like, they could come up and say they want a 12-foot dragon climbing frame on the football pitch, couldn't they? But, it's just getting the ideas off them initially. They could even do the work with the children. It doesn't have to look at our park. They could have all sorts of pictures of all the different parks within the area. They've done a lot up at Fairfield, down in Glossop, all the parks there. So they could show them all sorts of bits and pieces, and then just see where you go from there. Like you say, you don't want to stand next to a skate park and say, what would you like?
No.
Because like Nigel said, they'll just say, we would like a new skate park. So, but the work they do, from what I've gathered, is they start from the very beginning and just see what people want, what the children are saying, and then you would tailor your plans and designs and your ideas around that.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. Chris?
Very much the same. It's the community, and we need to start with the community engagement, and we'll get more idea, and also things will start to fall into place into our heads. The only thing is moving the muggers or putting a new one in does seem to be a bit of a sticky point, because we couldn't get any grants for it. And I just wondered whether we should, with the original manufacturer, not the installer of it, the actual manufacturer not being far away, maybe they look at a part exchange. It's just a thought. I thought, because it's their equipment and they'd be able to use it elsewhere. So I just thought maybe that's because maybe it'll come out cheaper, maybe it won't. But I just thought that was worth exploring. But community engagement, that's the way ahead.
Thank you, Chris. Stuart?
Thank you, Jason. Well, several points that I'd like to make after reading through all of this lot. First things first, obviously, everybody knows I've been from the word go. I don't want them moving. I was party to it when they were first put there. And I feel that we've got a lot of obstacles to actually encompass if we move them, because the play equipment, if we move it, it becomes second hand. Once it's moved second hand, do you get it insured and all the rest of it for being looked after? I know it was a very nice idea of just swapping the two over, but once again, it's the safer surfacing and how much it costs and how much, well, it's just been said, it's cheaper to build a new mugger rather than move that one. But in the grand scheme of all this, the two main points are, we do obviously want to do our drainage and make the football pitch better, but the first thing was to try and get some of them off of that mugger onto the football pitch. Now, the rebound fencing that we've talked about for behind the goals is not particularly expensive. It's only the 600 quid for either end or whatever. And I think that as a starting point, we could have that fencing behind those two goals to see how that goes and get them actually onto the grass rather than on the mugger, which would alleviate some of the problems, because obviously that was one thing that was talked about, and that isn't particularly an expensive thing, and that fencing could be moved whenever we level the pitch or do the drainage. You know, it would be part and parcel of that as a job, and it's not particularly expensive. We've got the money, we could afford to do that. The second part is, we did do a lot of consultation last time round with the kids, what they wanted for the mugger and also for the skateboarder park. Obviously, they came out with the very big ideas last time of the concrete stuff because of it being sprayed and all the rest of it. I do like the idea that Nigel has said that we consult with the neighbours and the people. We have got 9,000 people in Chapel. The thing is, as that goes, are we under any obligations from any of this to where we've had grant funded money before from the lottery and things like that? Are we expected to pay things back? Does it have to be there for such a certain length of time as such? What are we, are we in any deals, that it has to be there for a period of time? And I do recall from consultations before, because I was a governor at the school and the things that were being done before, that a lot of the kids, all they want is like a big shippen, if you like, where they can go and play their music, be noisy, all be together, not in fact upset anybody as such, because they just want to congregate and kids will be kids. And I don't know, with the amount of money we've got, and if we did a proper consultation, whether or not, rather than trying to move all this round and upset what we've got, because obviously while you're doing it, you haven't got the amenities for the town, whether or not we would be better looking at putting something new somewhere else. We've got all these housing estates that have been built further afield. We've got the allotments, we've got the lays, we've got Frodo and different areas of land. Is there anything, if we did a proper consultation, would people say that they'd prefer something somewhere else, that we could actually have land and build something bespoke for them, which then wouldn't affect? It's just my thoughts.
Thank you, sir. That's a fabulous idea that you just brought up there at the end. Thank you. Nigel?
Yeah, I do like the idea of opening new parks, especially if one of them would be on Rose Bay. I think it would be a fantastic addition to that estate, and it would also stop people building houses on the land that we used. The idea of the rebound fence, I think that's great. I think, Jockey, you should have a look at what has been costed out, and I would be overjoyed to see that appear on the May meeting agenda of the full council, so that we can get it in the summer. I think we do need to deal with the mugger, because it is an open sore. It's not. I don't think the issue is going to go away and unless we deal with it head on. I know it's one of those things where you can look at it and it doesn't look from the outset as good value for money, but then if you take into account the things that we discuss in confidence, I think it becomes more and more sensible for us to move it. Obviously, we're going to have 5 more councillors on in May, and they'll have their opinions. But certainly, the discussions that we've had since October, I think we just can't carry on ignoring it. Anyway, so my other point is that I think we should get a cost for this consultation with the kids, with neighbours, and we should present that early on as a let's do this, let's spend the money and get the ideas back, because we need to keep the ball rolling.
Thank you, Nigel. Just before, I see you got your hand up again, Stuart, but before I just come back to you, I'd like to suggest that I just touch upon 1 or 2 things. Yes, I did indeed ask for the rebound fences behind the goals, but that wasn't a solution that fixed the situation that we're currently in. It was just to try to alleviate some of the problems that was being caused currently. And I would like to look at that, Stuart. I just want to come back to this consultation that you mentioned, Stuart, because the information that Emma shared with me on the building of these new skate parks, when you actually look at it, our skate park doesn't tick any of the boxes that they're looking for. So could I ask you to expand on what you were saying before, please, Stuart?
Right. First things first, just to say about the rebound fencing, that's why I put my hand up, Jason. I was there when the gentleman came, and basically it was a proper piece of fencing that would stop the balls disappearing, and it was a freestanding fence behind the goals so far back as such, and Phil has got obviously the prices and the design for that. So yes, we can have that conversation. That is there if you want to continue with that one.
Is that just a one piece, Stuart, or is that multiple pieces? Not just one piece of fencing, is it?
No, it's not one piece of fencing. No, they were the panels again.
Yeah.
I think there was about 4, the equivalent of like 4 posts that would hold it up, that would go into the ground.
Right. Okay. So it's like 3 panels.
Yeah. And it was either end. That's why it wasn't particularly expensive, that. Right. Phil had explained it better because he knew exactly what he was on about with it and everything. So,
okay. Can I just...
That was that one. The other one that you were asking about, it's a case of, it's just that it's what the kids want at the time as such, because times change, isn't, what it is and everything, in the respect of the skateboard parks, and now they've got these BMXs and different bikes and everything. That was why we had the extra footpath put in, because of the old bylaws with the park, that they couldn't ride the bikes to the skateboard park, which rather seemed daft. So that's why that little extra piece of footpath is put in by the far gate to it, which means that they can actually get to and from it with their bikes. But when we were talking to them, and I used to run the discos at the Memorial Club and at the school under the PTA. They just, I say that the things they wanted was, they wanted somewhere that they could virtually congregate, do what they wanted to do, and not have any parental or police or any intervention. They tended to, I'm saying, like at the school, when it was the big school hall, they tended to like that for a disco, because that was the school to them is their home environment as such. So they tended to look after things better if they thought it was theirs as such. And I think that's where speaking to them and the ones that are going to be using it is a very sensible way forward. And that was why I suggested maybe they would like to have something purpose built elsewhere that they can go to.
Thank you, Stu. Yeah. No, what I was keen to touch upon then was that, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but with you being the only member that was there when it was initially built, when you look at the recommendations for building skate parks, one of them is that you don't build them under trees. And ours, you would consider that to be under trees.
Well, I would imagine with health and safety and things that have changed over the years, that is possibility of. But the thing is also the solar light and that, where it's got all its big gubbins at the top. Nowadays, they build them with the gubbins at the bottom, so you don't need cherry pickers to get to them to repair them. Things have changed, and I think we'd probably have to go back to what the police said at the time, that they were wanting the light and everything there together so that it could all be seen from the road for child safety and health and safety. It's like the Mugger having the one gate either side into it, but also it's got the escape hatches or gateways, if you like, behind the goals, because you have to have that because of child security. You know, if somebody's going to want to go and beat somebody up or get into a fight, there needs to be some way of escaping. So the rules do change over the years. So whether or not that has changed in the respect of under trees, I couldn't possibly say what was the rules were at that time, but I know one thing was they would have liked a concrete one at the time. We couldn't afford that. There wasn't the money there. There wasn't the input from other people to be able to get money. They did say that obviously the lay of the park nearer to the bowling green does have a natural dip and everything, but it would not have been possible to build it in there because all the drainage runs down under there, and that would have caused even more problems. So at the time, the spec and everything was right at the time for what we could afford and do at the time, but obviously we are 10 years down the line now.
Yeah. Listen, Stuart, I just want to make sure that I'm not actually trying to put you on the spot here. I'm just chewing the cud, if you so to speak, because
no, I'm just giving you the answers.
Well, yeah,
that I can remember from all those.
I appreciate that. But what I'm going to say before I come to Nigel is that, again, reading the report on skate parks, and when you consider the amount of money that the skate park is actually going to cost us, the location of the skate park meets none of the criteria that they recommend, and so therefore, I would be against any whole scale expenditure in that particular spot, because you would be going against what the professionals recommend. But that's my interpretation of it, Stuart.
That's why I have suggested possibly elsewhere, because the memorial park is there for more people than just the skateboarders. We've got that's what I say, with 9,000 people in Chapel. There are the dog walkers, there are older people, there are younger children and that, and it does make you wonder whether or not it would be better somewhere else, because at the time of doing it, we had people using their skateboards and everything. It was Safeway then, not Morrison's, under where all the trolleys are by the door, which was causing problems for Safeway at the time, and you'd got some of them using the wreck on the grass there, and it was a case of, I know this sounds very old as scale what I'm saying, in the respects of you used to have mods and rockers and that with different types of bikes years ago, and that we'd sort of got two lots of kids, and if one got there first, the other ones wouldn't come. You know, they didn't all want to play together, so it was difficult. It was just difficult at the time, and that was what came up at the time.
Thanks, Stuart. Nigel, I noticed you got your hand up.
Yeah. I know that you mentioned a couple of times to me, Jockey, that the idea of buying some land elsewhere. I think that as I've said before, the problem is that we end up just drifting off with plans for 5 years' time. And essentially, with Section 106 money, there's a clock on it. You know, I think we need to be spending some of that Section 106 money, and so we do need some plans that can have benefits for kids soon. However, you know, I do like the idea of parks. Could we ask the clerks to go away, find out the ownership of the land above Ely Way, and see whether, you know, the owners are interested in selling us a bit for a play park. The other idea is, could we approach your pals on the committee of the school that you meet with for the leisure centre, the guys from Derbyshire County Council, whether a mugger would be a good replacement in terms of the school's use for one of their Astros or tennis courts. You know, it's something that I could imagine that the school would find quite useful, having a mugger, and it would be a good place for kids to go and play footy. But,
Yeah.
you know.
Thank you, Nigel. Some good ideas there again. Chris?
If Nigel means the Fourth Rose Bay, I do know owns that. Is that land, Nigel?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's owned by Seddons, who did the housing development. Now, at the moment, what they're doing is when they've finished all the bits, they're in the process. They call it their Greenfield company. So it's like a trust company, and they give them X amount of money, and then any community land on one of their housing estates is then transferred to them to look after. So they give them, you know, so much to look after it. Now, at the moment, the last time I spoke to them, there was still sort of, they hadn't sort of transferred it back, but as well. But again, it's obviously we'd have to engage with the Rose Bay residents as well.
Thank you, Chris. So we've so far we've got a couple of actions here, Emma. Then please. One is, can we look at the rebound fencings following this meeting for the football pitch, please?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm going to email planning and just check we don't need.
Yeah, because I just want to pick that up with actually, Emma, because I think a couple of meetings ago we did say that if we did decide to try and remove some of the current footfall away from that area, we might actually need planning permission. I think either yourself or Sue said we might need planning permission for behind the goals. So that's something that,
I've looked, and it's not the height, but they go on something about cubic meter capacity, which I've no idea about. So
that's one issue that we'd like to look into. The second would be, can we cost? Have you given us a cost for this survey?
No.
So could we have some idea of how much this survey is going to cost us, please, Emma?
Yeah.
The third one would be, if Sue's with us tonight, hopefully, yes, she's Clark, yes. Is it something that Sue could, or yourself could do to have a look within the parish to see what available land that there is if we decided to look at a relocation? Is that something that
I don't know how we know.
Do you want me to just come in?
Yes,
we could do. When we were looking for additional land for allotments, we actually put a call out for land to see if anybody had any land that would be suitable. So I guess we could do the same for this.
Oh, magic. The reason why I asked that, Sue, is that when we've looked at the pricing for these skate parks, when we're looking at something, say with 200 square meters or cubic meters, that I think that would probably exceed the current space that we've got. Would it be right in saying that?
Emma can probably tell you better. When we did the lottery bid,
Yeah.
there was a proposal for a concrete skate park.
Right.
Am I right, Emma, in thinking it was on the same?
There was, and it was going to be the one that's there now. It was
Yeah.
going to be a longer. I couldn't give you the cubic. I haven't got all the lottery stuff with me. I
No.
couldn't give you the size, but it was going to be longer because obviously a concrete one wouldn't fit on the footprint that is there now.
That's right.
Whether
Yeah.
that is going to be the one that me and you have read in the reports, I don't know. I'm not very good with
Right.
sizes.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you're going to be spending that sort of money and it's not going to actually fit,
Correct.
I don't know.
That's my point. Really, is that with these concrete skate parks, there will be at some stage a minimum size that they're prepared to build, I suspect.
Right. Okay.
And Stuart, you might be able to come in at this point because we've only got a certain amount of room to work with. We might be trying to put a 50p piece in a 20p slot is my favourite saying at the moment. But Stuart?
Yeah, I think you have got a good valid point there, because the thing is that's where you need to be checking as well that's why there'll be planning issues for where we are, because like you've said, they wouldn't want to put these concrete ones under trees, is what you've just said. It's because Monica Gillespie would be involved, because you've got all your tree roots and everything.
Correct.
You can't drill down and you can't do it, you see, for stability and that. Hence the reason that you would be looking somewhere else on that, because you can't do it where trees are. So that'll be why that'll be part and parcel of that in this new grand scheme of things for the legislation. But I would just say, if we were looking for somewhere else for a concrete one elsewhere, what we've got there would become, I won't say it would become obsolete, but it would become probably used by smaller children where the parents were with them or you watching them. It'd be more like a learner ramp and that before they moved on when they got older, wouldn't it?
Nigel. Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on, we've had some information through about adult exercise equipment, and we haven't really talked about that yet. And the thing is, I think it's been misnamed because the stuff that we've been shown is really teenage play equipment, and you know, it's that's what we need to be looking at. You know, these monkey bars and tall climbing frames spaced somewhere away from the kiddies play park would be then a focus to tempt the teenagers away from the areas where they're, you know, scaring parents of toddlers, and into an area where they could just hang out and do teenage stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Nigel. Yeah, I'd like to. I think if we're going to compare local skate parks and parks, I think the advantage that Whaley Bridge has over the Memorial Park is it's almost a teenagers friendly zone where they can go in and play music, and they don't actually come into conflict with anybody. And I think that's the great drawdown to Whaley Bridge. If anybody was wanting to go and sit on the skate parks and play their music, of course, it's going to drive all the residents crazy, especially with today's music. But that's only my take on things. And anyway, so we've got three things there that we need to look at. And in terms of the adult equipment, Nigel, I did have an offer from a calisthenics teacher, a friend of mine, who offered that should we put calisthenics equipment into the park, he was prepared to hold free of charge lessons for the elderly and infirm, which I thought was a fabulous offer. but he is obviously a calisthenics teacher, so I'm sure he would have been in favour of that somewhere. But yeah, go on, come back to you then, Nigel, please.
Yeah, I mean that would actually fall into the category of adult exercise equipment, but I think we also need to look at slightly riskier equipment that teenagers can play on. You know, I like the idea of these big climbing frames, the climbing walls, the things that they can do and feel that they're not, you know, playing on kiddies equipment or, you know, being forced into exercise that they don't want to do.
Yeah, thank you, Nigel. Okay, yeah, right, okay. So again, coming back to the adult equipment or the teenager equipment, the survey should bring that to the fore. I'm not convinced there were many teenagers actually asked for that kind of equipment in the park. I think this is something that's been implemented in the past in other parks, and information that I've had back on my gut feeling is they won't be used that much. However, I'm open to I keep an open mind on that. Right. So in short, before with a few minutes left, Emma.
Yes.
It mentions that High Peak and Staffordshire Maulers have installed 2 concrete skate parks that have cost approximately £100,000.
Yeah.
Have I missed where they are?
I think one of them was over in Leek, I think. I can't remember where the other one she mentioned was, to be fair.
Could I ask ask that you get me the 2 addresses, please, Emma?
Yeah, well, that's the 4 addresses.
It could actually it could actually be the one in Whaley Bridge Park, because High Peak Borough Council, that is their park. They maintain that.
Right.
If I could just come in, Jason,
of course,
and touch on that one for you. Yes, because the Whaley Bridge handed over the park back to the Borough Council years ago. The Borough Council look after Whaley Bridge Park, so the skateboard park that is in, that's the concrete one at Whaley, is, and that's partly why you say it's in a separate area, because they did the consultation there, and that's why it's run its green awards in the past. And all the rest of it. The other one is over in Leek, so I don't know the actual address for that, but we could find out.
Yeah, we're worth a visit, wouldn't it, Stuart?
Probably, yes.
Okay, right. Okay. Okay. So, are there any other questions from any of the councillors for tonight? Three key pieces that I think we're going to ask Sue and Emma to go away and do. Nigel, are you comfortable?
Yeah, I just would love to see. I know we've got an extremely long agenda at the May meeting, but it would be lovely to see at least a spending decision on this survey on that agenda.
Fabulous. Yeah. Okay.
I think talking, and we talked to Sally about it, I think that we will be able to get that for the May meeting. So, yeah.
Oh, smashing. Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, very much the same. It's this community engagement. If we get some sort of whatever, costings or whatever that this company would charge, and also some sort of references or whatever for that. I think that's the way forward, and I think hopefully things will start coming together then.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah, I'm happy with that in the respect of getting the costings. I think the 2 things of it is, I think we could, if everything's all okay, we can get towards those fences for the park anyway, as long as we go through the planning and find out that everything's okay. And the costings for the survey is a good idea. And I don't know, the only thing to say is it might not necessarily need to come to the full council meeting. It can come back to the amenities, depending when we book all our meetings in May, can't it?
Thank
for
you,
a
Stu.
decision to be made.
Thank you, Stu. Good point. Okay, ordinarily, I wouldn't involve Emma and Sue as such, but can I ask for, have you got any input, please, Sue? Anything you want to add?
Sorry,
It's all right, mate.
I'm unmuted. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think if we get in touch, I think the company called Shift, aren't they? We get in touch with them, and then we might have to just think about just exactly what we want them to do. You know, whether it's talking about Mugger, skate park, and adult equipment.
Yeah.
Maybe those are the things that really have been spoken about, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we need to probably give them some sort of a steer, don't we? On, you know, just really what we're wanting to achieve from it all.
Okay.
But we'll make contact with them tomorrow and take it from there.
Fabulous. Thanks, Sue. Emma, have you got anything else? Hello, Emma.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah, no, I've got a list of things to do, so I'll get on with them.
you okay with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well. In all honesty, then I think really we've probably. Oh, sorry, Stuart.
I was just going to say, if Emma gets in touch with them, if they've got like a pro forma of questions or anything that they've asked to other people, whether Emma could get that off them and send it out to us to have a look at, and then we might be able to add some questions to it, because I think it's the questions that you ask is how you get the replies of what the people want. Yeah.
Again, thank you, Stuart. I did kind of allude to that earlier. Right. Okay. So it's worth pointing out that these two meetings are an indication that the council are listening to the concerns, and we are trying to work towards an end goal that keeps everybody happy. It's clear that Nigel has pointed out that he doesn't want it dragging out. However, a spend of this significance cannot be rushed. Just to satisfy the need to be seen to be doing something. I think any spend in this of this size has to be done properly, and I would urge against anybody making any snap decisions. Any decisions has to be made. It has to be calculated, and we have to be satisfied that any decision will hold up under public scrutiny for years to come, and not be the subject of any other further disputes. Emma and Sue, I'd like to thank you for the time that you've spent in gathering this information for us to have a talk about tonight. In advance, I'd like to thank you for the work you're about to do. And with that, really, I guess we should really consider the date of the next meeting, Stuart. Yeah. So
yeah, because when on that one, obviously you've got to be careful because of the election and all the rest of it. And some new people will be, as we now know, will be coming on. They might have some input and interest and everything. Yeah, we'll have to sort out our meeting dates and everything. So I don't know how Emma or Sue wants to deal with sorting it out, because I think the best way forward is to carry on like this, of having your normal amenities meetings, which are the separate ones, which do everything under the sun, and then just have this one agenda one to keep this Mugger one moving. So, you know, this could quite easily be put in the May schedule. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Nigel?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Sue a question which occurred in the planning meeting, and I think it's going to crop up again when we're talking about the date of the next amenities meeting, which is, do councillors have to get sworn in at a full council meeting, or can their first meeting be a committee meeting?
Yeah, what they'll have to do is So the elections are on the Thursday. So 4 days after from that, they can be sworn in, and it doesn't matter which meeting they go to, or they can actually come to the meeting and be sworn in before the meeting.
Okay, so we can essentially have the 5 new councillors attending a amenities meeting, so long as we hold it after the 11th, 12th.
Yeah, except they've not been elected onto the committee, have they?
Ah,
Which that'll happen on the 18th, won't it?
Right, okay. Well, if in that respect then, Sue, we're better off holding it after the 18th, aren't we?
Because on the 18th, which will be the annual meeting,
Yeah.
and everybody will be appointed to committees at that meeting.
Yeah, so we need to hold this the follow-up meeting to this after the 18th is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else okay with that? Yeah. Emma, have you got a calendar in front of you?
Yeah.
I think just while she's just looking, the other thing is, if we can get a quote for the consultation by the meeting on the 18th,
yeah,
then that can either be agreed or not or whatever. We'll know about that then for the next meeting about the mugger, won't we?
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah, good call.
Do you actually want me to do? I've had a telephone call and I've been waiting 2 years for a specialist scan for my son. I've had a telephone call this afternoon. So he will be going at some point in May to London. So I do not know though.
It doesn't matter, Emma, I can do it.
Are you all right to do it?
Yeah.
If we do a date?
Yeah.
So after the 18th. Well, really, as it stands at the minute, I can do anything really after that, apart from the 26th of May.
you didn't want to do any more Tuesdays, did you, Jockey?
No, to be fair, no. Tuesdays are proving problematic to me.
Yeah, Wednesdays are very difficult for me now because the children are back at football. And the 26th is a parents' evening. So long as it's not a Wednesday or a 26th, it doesn't really matter.
Is it worth, to keep the momentum going, Jason, is it worth going for Thursday the 20th then?
Sue?
Yeah, we would then be back in the town hall, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Like I said, that may be absolutely fine for me. I just wanted to forewarn you.
So that fits in with you currently, Emma?
Yeah.
And if you were called away short notice too, that would fit in with you too?
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, anybody else who got a problem with the 20th? Chris? No? Stuart?
No.
No, okay, so that's fabulous. Then 20th it will be.
What time?
If you're not having it before or after planning, do you want to start that at 7?
Yep, 7 o'clock's fine.
Does that help, Sue, for doing the calendar?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Emma, do you know anybody's going to be using the main hall on a Thursday?
I do, but I don't think they'll be allowed back anyway because it should be jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I still don't think that they are actually allowed back because it's full on bodily contact, you see. So I don't think they can come back till like the 21st of June. So we should be okay for Thursday.
Okay.
Fabulous. And just one other thing then, ladies, before we go, would this be would be able to do a hybrid meeting, or would this all just be around the table in the town hall?
We're waiting for this court ruling as to what's going to happen. for the virtual meetings, and I think that's due on the 21st of April, something like that.
Right.
But yeah, we've not worked out how we might be able to do hybrid meetings yet.
Nigel?
Yeah, I think let's wait for the court decision. But if we end up having to do physical meetings, then we'll just cobble something together so that we'll be able to live stream on Zoom anyway.
Okay.
I was just going to say there, Jason, if the court ruling's on the 21st of April and we're looking at the 20th of May, it does give us a month to, as Nigel politely puts it, cobble something together, doesn't it, in that month?
Well, it does indeed, yeah. Okay, well, listen, I'd like to thank everybody for attending, those inside the council and those on the outside currently. I'd like to thank Emma and Sue for their contribution, as always. And I guess we'll bring this meeting to an end for tonight. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.